All right, doing a little bit of work on this Jeep Patriot. I'm going to show you something here real quick. You can tell if I spin this wheel, it's up in the air. Can't really hear anything. If you go over here to this passenger side, and we'll spin the wheel. I don't know if you can hear that. It's got a bad wheel bearing. It makes a pretty loud humming noise when you're driving it. We're also going to change the struts on this, I think. Do a couple other things on. Just do an overall check on it. But this video, we're going to just concentrate on the wheel bearings on it. I think I'll probably change both sides. But this side's definitely bad. It's got a pretty good noise to it. And it gets louder, you know, once you get to about 30, it starts really coming on. You can hear it going pretty good. So anyway, we're going to concentrate on the rear wheel bearings on this Jeep Patriot. This is a two-wheel drive. It's not an all-wheel drive. So just as a little side note. All right, so what we want to do is take the wheel off. Take your drum off right here. You can see my brakes are pretty thin. I just noticed that. We're going to have to change those too. They're almost gone on this side. Anyway, that's all you're going to do up front here or on this side. Take your drum off. And then we're going to do everything else from the back side. So I'm going to get out of there and show you what we need to do. It's just 4 bolts, and 5 bolts. 4 bolts hold the bearing in. And then you can kind of hear that. And then there's one for this wheel speed sensor. So anyway, we'll go to the back of it real quick and I'll show you what to do. All right, so I'm on the back side of it now, and you can see I got a socket. This is 10 millimeter right here for your wheel speed sensor. So we'll go ahead and remove that real quick, and then you got 4 bolts or socket on one. You got 4 bolts to hold the wheel bearing into the or the wheel hub, wheel bearing assembly into the control arm back here. So first we're going to do is take out this 10 millimeter and take out that speed sensor hopefully without breaking it. Looks like these have been replaced before. It's a Moog bearing, so maybe this will come out pretty easily. All right, so I went to the 10 millimeter nut out, and then you should just be able to pull on this gently, kind of rock it back and forth a little bit, and it come out. That's what it looks like. So that's out. We're just going to kind of move it out of the way so we don't hurt it. Try to put it out of the way. And then we're going to go to these bolts right here, which I believe are 17 millimeter. Yeah, 17 millimeter. So if you get under here and get completely underneath the vehicle, you should be able to get to these bolts pretty easily. So I got jack stands on it, jacked up, and I'm underneath it. Kind of got my head by the gas tank here. I'm just looking out towards the vehicle. I got these 4 bolts. And like I said, there's 17 mil. So I'm going to go ahead and start removing those. Of course, it helps if you have an impact, but you can do it. Just regular ratchet. They're all coming out pretty easily. Let me get this. I just have a little stubby impact with a extension on it. And I already got that other one loose, so this is the last one. So these are all. So all 4 of them are out or loose. So we'll just take them out the rest of the way, and then we'll go to the other side and pull this out, hopefully. All right, once you get those 4 bolts out, this backing plate's going to come loose after you hit it a couple times, hit the bearing. You do have a plate that goes in between the backing plate and this lower trailing arm here. Got this plate. That'll come out once the bolts come out. And I actually had to hit the bearing pretty hard on the back side. So I just kind of held this away from the trailing arm a little bit and took a hammer and hit this back of the wheel bearing pretty hard. You can see here I damaged the plastic piece a little bit right there. It's not a big deal replacing it, but that's where I was hitting it at, and it took a little bit. I soaked it down with some WD-40 type stuff and started hitting it, and it came loose finally. But it definitely was rusted. And that's pretty normal in these type of bearings. They'll rust into the aluminum or the steel, wherever they're at. You have to give them some pretty good hits. You just got to be careful because you do have a brake line up here that you got to be mindful of. You don't want to pull that way out and break your brake line or anything like that and cause more work for yourself. So I'm going to go get the bearing and wait for it to get here, and then we'll put it back on. Then I'll do these brakes after I get the bearing done. That way it's up there and steady, but that's not going to be a video, I don't think, on this. We're just going to show you the wheel bearing. I do got to put struts on it. I might make a separate video for that. So if you're looking for doing rear struts on Patriots, I'll probably do a separate video on that. It's pretty straightforward on these, but anyway, that's where we're at. So I'm going to go ahead and go get the bearing, then we'll start putting it back together. It's pretty easy. All right, so I got everything lined up. I got all 4 bolts through it. So now I'm just going to put the bearing up there carefully and kind of reach around the back and start the bolts one at a time. And then once you get them all started, you can go behind there and torque them down. But you don't want to just start one and then start trying to torque them down. You'll cross-rut them. So just make sure they're all 4 started, and then we'll go underneath it and power them down. All right, make sure you got them all 4 hand-tied or hand-started. You don't want to tighten them down uneven. And then just kind of go in a crisscross pattern and tighten them up. Zap them on if you have an impact. I'm just going to go kind of crisscross. Alright, and then I'll probably do one extra little torque on it, and then go ahead and put your 10mm back in. I wouldn't use an impact on that, just use a regular ratchet. And that's pretty much it on these. I got to put brakes on this, so I got to go do that. I've already put the new strut in on this side, so if you're just going to do the wheel bearing, that's pretty much all you have to do. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy job, pretty quick. But yeah, just put your sensor back in, 10mm bolt, tighten that up, and get your 4 bolts tight, good and tight, and then you're ready to go. Put your drum back on your wheel, and you're good to go. So pretty simple job on these. On the rear, the fronts are obviously a little more involved. You have to use a press or something like that to get the front bearings out, but this one was all the noise coming from the rear. So anyway, that's all there is to rear wheel bearing on a Jeep Patriot. Thanks for watching. As always, God bless.